Good evening and welcome to the Shadow Realm. I am your host Ghostly, and today we are playing Death is Sunhaired, a horror romance game where you're living in the 19th century village where no one understands you. Suddenly all your fellow men start dying, and you are sent on a one-way quest to the Lord's castle. Will you be able to make it back alive and continue to be yourself? This full short story was created for Yandere Jam 2026, and I apologise if I mispronounce this. Shoujo Jam. The game features 5 endings, and hopefully we're gonna get to see them all. I have adjusted the music that's in this game, so it might be a bit quiet on your end, but it was quite loud. So yeah, without any further ado, let's start. I have no clue what I'm getting into. I just like the idea of the setup. The longer you trudge through this hellish storm, the angrier you get. Your clothing is completely soaked through, the sodden fabric making your arduous journey even harder, impeding your movement while the chill sinks into your bones. I'm just going to turn down the sound effects a little bit more. There we go. Sinks into your bones. It was a fool's errand to even attempt this, but you have no other choice. Even if you were to turn back, it would take you just as long to return to the village than to arrive at your intended destination. And if you were to show your face without any news, if you had to tell them that you simply gave up. The surviving residents of, I forgot to say, it is a Slavic inspired region. God, I'm going to try and pronounce these, but please be forgiving. Have forgiven you for so much in your life, but you know that they would never forgive you for that. You wouldn't survive being a wife. Okay, we're gonna go non-binary, but I've heard that it does change a little bit, the outcome, so we'll do non-binary first. It was bad enough that you had been constantly ill as a child. Whatever pity people had for you wore thin every time your health took a new downturn. On top of that, as soon as you yourself to have an opinion on the matter, you had realised that you could never describe yourself as a man or a woman, something nobody else understood. But you did your best to perform a oh god, I hate this word. I just hate seeing the word. Sorry. And others pretend that it was great. Sorry, I'm trying. At worst, even in this storm, you didn't want to think about it. You did have one friend who was happy to treat you the way you wanted to be treated. She even taught you how to read, but even she succumbed to the illness that beset the village. With your health, going on this journey was a dangerous idea in the first place, even without the storm. But if anyone could have the resources to stop the plague sweep the village, it would have to be the Lordland, wouldn't it? A scorpion hit your chest, nearly making you double over in pain. It takes all the strength you have to keep walking forward. Each moment the storm intensifies, some of you even further. But you will not give up. You can't, no matter what. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, trying to focus on the repetitive motion rather than the other terrible sensations around you. I was trying to get through the story before I stopped again, but oh my god, I love all the art. It's so gothic and lovely and very Castlevania and gothic and If I could live inside that, I'd be content. You raise one foot, move it forward, put it down again. Then repeat the other again, over and over. You're so immersed in this feeling that when one foot gets stuck in the mud or through or something, it completely shocks you. It better not be a bone. When you fall, the vision goes completely dark. Something is off when you next come to. Ooh, I do like the music. You're not laid flat in the mud. You're in a bed, one much softer than the one you're used to. It is comfortable. and comfort is something you've known little of in your life. Feeling it now is simply strange. You are warm in the blanket swaddling you, but there is something cool touching your hands. When you finally open your eyes, you see a man staring down at you, a desperately love-struck expression on his face. Vasily? We're going to say his name is Vasily. Elizaveta. I have no clue how to pronounce this name, but we're going to I'm going to say Elizaveta. Liza, you're finally awake. I've been waiting for this day to come. It's me, your husband, Vasily. You blink once, twice, 3 times, hoping that something would make sense. They do not. First of all, your name is... I'll go to Calamity. He doesn't even know your name, yet he's talking as if you've known each other for a long time. You must have me confused with someone else. My name is Calamity. Your voice is scratchy in your throat. You just have to hope that he can hear you because you don't think you can get... Sorry, I'm just going to turn that down ever so slightly more because it's a lot louder than it was on the title screen. Anyway, you just have to hope that he can hear you because you don't think you can get any louder without straining yourself. How can I be your Elizaveta when I'm not even a woman? Also, again, noting just very pretty backgrounds, and I like the character design. You know, it's not... it's quite classic in the Gothic, kind of almost military-esque coat and all that. But, you know, he's got interesting hair design. It's not the classic black that you see, or blonde often you see in vampirism. Anyway, the man smiles at you as if he had anticipated your reaction. I am not surprised that you do not remember me. It has been so long. I think even the most devoted wife would lose a few details eventually. But I know you very well. Your hair, your eyes, your skin. You are her spitting image in all the ways that matter. So you're just saying you like the outward appearance, you know, the vessel. And that's what's the most important of all, isn't it? This man seems to have left reality behind a long time ago. I agree. I agree, Calamity. He's only interested in the outside, and he's deluded himself into thinking we're his probably long deceased wife. Play along, insist he is wrong. I wish I had saved beforehand. I can't go back. We'll play along. And no, it doesn't matter now, but just so I know where the save is. You believe that I'm Elizaveta's reincarnation? I do not believe. I know. You're very confident. I would not be able to stand this life if I were not. Perhaps, but I've come to you about the village, not about me. Vasily looks at you confused. Village? The one I came from. You do have the title to the land surrounding this area, do you not? Well, yes, but now that you're here, you don't need to worry about that dreadful place anymore, do you? Damn it! I wish I could save. Don't talk about my bit. Okay, so seeing as we're going along with his delusions for now, we're gonna just keep agreeing with him on this route. You think for a long moment about your home and what it truly gave you. 2 dead parents, townspeople who pitied you, or despised you, or tried to take advantage of you. A body racked with pain and fatigue that will never, ever go away. This Vasily is clearly mad, but he's a different kind of mad from what you're used to. If you die here, it will at least be an interesting death. I have no love lost for the people there, but I also doubt it's a good idea to let a plague run rampant. A plague. Yes, many of the townspeople have succumbed to it. Do you know anything about it? I'm not sure. Do you believe the illness you have now is your village's plague? No. I've been ill my whole life. The plague that's been spreading, it starts with a rash on the neck, and I've never had that. I see. If it's something like a rash, then most likely it's spread by pests, isn't it? Rats and the like. But on the neck? If people were being bitten by rats, wouldn't people be getting rashes all over? On their hands and arms and legs? I don't know. Suddenly, Vasily raises his voice at you. Do I seem like an expert on rodents to you? The sudden commotion causes a squeak to emanate from the other side of the room. In the corner of your eye, you can see a quick movement from under a small table. Ha! You liar, you keep rats. Again, we're agreeing to everything the answers he wants to hear, so no. No, I can't say that you do. He is rather handsome, actually. Although you wouldn't dare to tell him to his face. You fear it would only worsen his affections towards you. And you do not know how he feels about someone like you. He is clearly already confused enough to believe you are his wife. You look like, well, like nobility, I suppose. He smiles gently at you. Do I? I'm glad to hear that time hasn't weathered me too badly. When you live such a solitary existence, it's hard to know how other people see you. Vasily looks rather young, not much older than you, but the way he talks makes it seem like he's much older. You suppose even the poorer end of nobility gets to age more gracefully than a peasant. He's just a mortal, my dear. Look, you earlier when you said it was going to be an interesting death, that's kind of what we're stuck in. We're either becoming undead or dead. Are you tired, dear? Huh? You felt fine, but now that you think about it, it's a struggle to keep your eyes open. Vasily moves a hand to tuck a lock of your hair behind your ear. You don't have enough strength to bat him away, so you let him. I will return when you're ready. Sleep well. Oh, okay. Interesting. That night you are blessed with the miracle of dreamless sleep. It gives you a sense of familiarity that has been missing from your journey of recovery in this castle. All your life, your sleep has been unencumbered by either dreams or nightmares. And while sometimes you are jealous of the nighttime adventures others have, usually you are glad to not be haunted by imagined ghosts. Oh? You can't tell how long has passed, as there are no clocks, and only a dim red light suffuses the room. Was the sun setting or rising? Oh, hello, you just magically appeared. Hello, sir. Next to you sits Vasily. A servant stands at the door, but the area is so shadowed you can barely tell there's a person, let alone anything else about them. Ooh! Sorry, I'm intrigued by the rest of the room design, because we're now seeing it in a brighter red. Are you feeling better now, my dear? Putting aside his unyielding affections for a moment, you take a full account of your own health. You wouldn't say you feel strong, so to speak. You rarely do, even in more favourable environments. But thankfully, you no longer feel like you're lingering at death's doorstep. Whether it was Vasily who tended to you, or the servant lurking beneath the doorframe, you do have to admit that you are doing much better. Are you feeling better? I am, thank you. It was no trouble at all, Calamity. Your needs will always be tended to so long as you reside here. The sentiment seems somewhat overblown. The two of you barely even know each other, but you do appreciate his care. Do you believe that you'd be able to walk? I think so. I did bring a servant to help you dress. I'd like for us to walk the grounds together, if you're amenable. The servant steps forward, stepping just enough in the dim candlelight that their features become just barely visible. Even close to you, you have trouble identifying any defining features. Oh, hello. I'm just trying to figure out, what are your hands, sir? Is that a hand, or are you holding something? I can't tell. I guess that's what I get for a silhouette. I think you two would have much to talk about with each other. The servant, who isn't dressed like you would expect of a maid or a butler, bows hesitantly towards you. Don't dawdle too long, please. I fear if we delay, I might not be able to go outside until tomorrow. Okay, so it's nighttime. Oh, alright. You don't have anything else to do, so you might as well accept his offer. It might help to become more familiar with just where you are exactly you're being held. The servant quickly removes your bedclothes. Huh, where did they come from? And with a serious demeanor begins to dress you. I wonder if we'd picked, we're female, we would have had a female servant, and then male would have been a male servant. And so, I'm curious. I do want to play as the other genders just to kind of see if there are these differences. You try to engage them in conversation, as you've never met anyone like yourself in this way, but in contrast to Vasily's statement, they seem to be uninterested in talking about anything, deflecting most questions and answering a few with only a single word. Although now, in intimately close proximity to you, their face seems even less defined. It isn't long before you're shooed out of the room in your new outfit, then led along until reaching a grand hall. One second, Vasily. I'm just looking at the hall and the art, and it is every Gothic architecture's dream. I'm just looking at everything and going, oh, look at the stone carvings and the pillars and the windows and the chandeliers. Sorry, I would spend forever on this one scene, but I'll be good. I'll carry on. Hello, Calamity. Do you think you've regained enough strength to walk outside? I believe so, yes. It had taken a few moments for you to balance on your feet again. It must have been over a day since you last walked, but before long you were moving about naturally. Splendid. If you do feel weak, please tell me right away. I can carry you. Right, I mean, you're probably the one that carried us into the building, but at the same time, don't just carry without, I mean, you're asking, but still. Thank him. Again, we're doing all the agreeings at the moment. It is much appreciated. Vasily practically beams as bright as the shining stars. I would do anything at all for you, Calamity. You're completely safe with me. We're in a very ominous location, and the fact you're just going, you're completely safe with me, when the first time we spoke, you were comparing me to your dead wife. I'm gonna say this here now, folks. We're not safe. And if it wasn't for the fact that we're a character who can't run fast because we've got medical problems, I would be suggesting to Calamity here to get the hell out. Now, come along. The outdoors awaits. Vasily grabs you gently by the arm, pulling you forward. Though his movements are not forceful, you feel it nigh impossible to escape his grip, even if you wanted to. See? Exactly what I said. With his free hand, he opens the door, revealing very little. Ooh! Pretty. It is nighttime, although barely so. The last dregs of sunlight illuminate the scenery just enough to make out the outlines of your surroundings. Oh, I like that. I like how the wind from outside is blowing his hair. There's a cool little detail. Did I take too long to get ready? No, not at all. This is the perfect time for an outing. It is? Vasily nods as he pats your arm, a clear signal to start moving. Indeed. I know it might seem rather strange to you. If I could take you out during the daytime, I would. Alarm bells, vampire, hello! Oh! Yep, see, exactly. My illness prevents me from going out into the sun. I get terrible burns and rashes. I see. And is that also why you haven't been able to carry out your noble duties? I think he just doesn't care. It is a large part of why, yes. It is very difficult to make arrangements that prevent me from going into daylight. And the rashes are so painful that accidental exposure renders me nearly immobile. He looks up, his eyes scanning the horizon. The sky is not quite black yet. In fact, it is just about the same colour as Vasily's hair. Oh, there's a pretty description. This is about the earliest I can safely go outside, so your timing was perfect. We have the whole night ahead of us, if you'd like. While the sky above is beautiful, the grounds are somewhat less so. As you walk, he tells of long ago gatherings that happened here, when the property was still fit to show to others. Treading lightly along an overgrown pathway, he tells you of a truly marvellous party held shortly after he and Elizaveta married. How the two of them held hands and laughed with their friends as the sunlight shone dappled. Sorry, my brain tripped on that sentence. And laughed with their friends as the sunlight shot, dappled through the trees. At one point, he leads you into the ruins of what was once a statued garden, but now surrounded by family graves. Vasily regales you with the histories of the long-dead ancestors that had once walked the lands. I'd like to know if this is indeed we're supposed to be Elizaveta's reincarnation. How many of them are her? Because I don't know how old he is. You know, this could just be the new reincarnation. We could be like 20 along. I want to know. He talks so much that you cannot get a single word in. Perhaps if he felt ill or weak, he might listen, but otherwise he seems primarily interested in sharing stories he likely hadn't been able to share with anyone. His verbal tour doesn't come to a lull until sometime later when Vasily squeezes your arm and slows to a stop. Also, I would like to note there's a rather big garden for graves. Like, I can see in the distance how big this graveyard is. There's a lot of bodies. He looks down and you follow his gaze. At your feet stands a gravestone. It's only by the blood moon a single legible word is revealed. Elizaveta. Okay, 1 second, I just need to sip. Okay. The stone is heavily weathered, just like the statues, but it also shows signs of having been intentionally damaged. Below her name, the dates of birth and death have been roughly carved away, leaving slipshod gashes on the memorial. Ah, so he's taken it out, so we can't figure out how old he is. That's a shame. Next to the grave is a hole, large enough to fit an adult man. This is where my dearest Liza rests. And next to it is where I will rest too, if I ever fall to the clutches of death myself. If. Vasily laughs lightly, although there is little mirth in the sound. A small morsel of dark humour, forgive me, Calamity. Sometimes one has to make their own levity when life grows bleak. He looks down at Elizavetta's gravestone, staring at it resolutely, an uninterpretable expression across his face. I dare say only the most powerful of beings could find a way to cheat death. He says nothing else for some time. It occurs to you that if you are willing to interrupt the moment, this may be a chance to finally talk to him. Okay, we were doing an agreeing route, so let's just say nothing, and we'll leave him be. Now that you have the chance to say something, you find that you cannot think of anything you want to know. I mean, I have questions, but I don't know if asking them will ruin the route we're on. So, we're going to say nothing, we're going to be perfect, and we'll see what that ending brings us. At least, nothing that you are certain wouldn't provoke Vasily's ire. You think it best to placate him, and perhaps the best way of doing so is to be exactly what he wants. Someone who will listen. He seems to rarely talk to his servants, and they to him. And when they do speak, it is only of mundane domestic things. Moreover, you have no indication that Vasily has any living friends or family. He is alone, and has been for some time. Possibly ever since Elizavetta's death. It would explain why he was so immediately taken with you. Anyone would have their mind rattled after living in near solitude for so long. Well, you don't want to provoke him. You can tell he does expect you to say something, and so thus pick a completely innocuous topic. Is there somewhere close by we can sit down? My legs are feeling a bit wobbly. The words scarcely leave your lips before one of your knees give way. With a sharp inhale, you balance yourself on Elizavetta's tombstone. Do you need me to carry you? Again, we're supposed to let him do what he wants, so... Oh, hello. You just got suddenly closer. I don't need you to, no. But if you're offering... Wonderful. Come on, up you go. Oh, we get a nice close-up of the face. Oh, I can feel the Castlevania inspiration. When you decide to accept his offer, you weren't sure what would happen. You thought perhaps that it was just the typical bravado of a nobleman, making offers he had no intention of following through on. But Vasily has shown himself to be very unexpected, in so many ways. He easily lifts you up off the ground and into his arms, so easily in fact that you let out a squeak at the sudden sensation. You almost slip out of his grasp, but you're able to reach around his shoulders just in time for the two of you to keep yourselves off the ground. You truly weren't joking! Of course not. Now, let us retire home, dear. Vasily sets off in the direction of the castle. At least you assume that is the direction he's going in. You're not familiar enough with the grounds to say for sure, nor can you see well enough to tell. Not for the first time, you are completely at the mercy of Vasily's whims. He could take you anywhere he wanted, and you would be almost powerless to stop him. The thought sends a thrill through you. You try to suppress a shiver, but don't do a very good job at it. Uh-oh. Oh dear. The journey back to the mansion goes by quick, as Vasily's concluded tour leaves enough room for the two of you to account your own tales. You discuss much of... Oh god. Careful? I don't know if I did better that time. But we'll take it. Vasily appears rather ill-informed of his own territory. A small rat scurries across your path, interrupting your thoughts. Just how many could inhabit these grounds? Oh, we're back in here. Hello. Once the two of you retreat back inside, you expect him to leave you with a servant. But instead he insists on taking you back to your bedroom. That is what he calls the room you've been resting in. Oh, he's back at the bed. Are you just going to watch us go to sleep? You are tired enough by now that you let him stay without qualm. Though you would probably let him even if you were fully awake, if you were completely honest with yourself. You do, however, insist that he does not stay in the room while you are trying to sleep. In exchange, he makes a show of making sure you are comfortable before he's satisfied enough to allow himself to leave. Good on you, you're setting a boundary. It's not going to last, but we'll take it. It's charming in its own way. Once you're finally alone, it does not take long to slip into slumber. You had never been on the grand adventures that other people had experienced in their dream. But you also never experienced the terrors that could follow you into your waking days. A fair trade, you believed. Yet, on this night, you have a dream. Even as you watch it, you can't tell what it means. There is a figure, a person, a woman, probably? Ooh! That must be the wife. She is turned away from you. You can tell that she is wearing a dress, but you cannot make out any particular details of it, only that it is black, as if she is a widow in mourning. The woman in black does not talk, she simply stands there unmoving. Finally, her head turns, as if she is getting ready to speak to you. And then you wake up. Huh, maybe we'll get to see more of her in, another dream. When you return to the waking world, you try to wipe away the confusion with sensible thoughts. It's just a dream. Most people have dreams. It's normal. But you can't keep the unease away. Burning questions claw and scratch unceasingly. Why here? Why now? Your ill mood is intensified by the fatigue in your limbs. Last night's walk took more out of you than you had expected, and now you don't know if you will even be able to get out of bed at all today. Sorry, I'm just thinking if this is a Carmilla situation where he is draining us each night, I air quote night, while we're sleeping, and so we're getting worse. I know we've got the umbrella of a chronic illness, so it's feasible that there is something with that going on, but I wonder if he's doing something and intensifying it, or whether it is actually just the illness at play. If it is, in fact, daytime, like before, the dull red lighting is the same. With no clocks anywhere in the room, you have no way of knowing how long you've been asleep. The room isn't completely dark, however. There are a handful of candles scattered around on tables, their flames gently flickering. Oh! Who was that? One of the candles illuminates the outline of a human figure. Vasily. That wasn't him, there was a shadow. Right here for a second. And that, I don't think, was this man here. I guess we'll see. The fire's refraction makes him seem almost like an otherworldly figure. A being who shouldn't exist in this world. I mean, if your senses are saying that, maybe you should listen to them. But you dismiss the thought as a wild fantasy of the drowsy, and instead consider how to start off your day. Oh god. Oh god, oh god. We want him to like us. We're playing into him. He wants somebody who's, we want to ask questions, so we'll wait. Vasily spends some time examining the tall windows across from your bed. You think he might come closer, but he stays exactly where he is, glancing at an object he kept hidden in his coat. Only when he is done with it and he turns around does he finally notice that you are awake and approach. Good morning, Calamity. I hope you slept well. Hey, I don't think I've slept better in my life. It was a lie, but you did not want to be a bad guest so soon. Despite how run down everything is, it's still a level of comfort far greater than you're used to. However, a single night of sleep hasn't performed a miracle. You still feel too weak to get out of bed. How long have I been asleep? Long enough to start building up your strength. That's what's most important, yes? I suppose. It'll be hard to get used to your regular schedule once you get back home. But at this pace, that won't be a while yet. The view is beautiful. You could see a fountain through the thick glass of the tall windows. I'm impressed you can. I'm tiny. I don't think I'd see. I'd have to get like a little ladder and creep up and go, hello, let me look. Isn't it? That's why I made sure to have you rest in this room. Looking at this scene always invigorates me. I imagine you'll be running around the grounds again in no time. It's a fun thought, although you feel he's overstating it a bit. Are you literate? To an extent. I can bring you some books if you like. Please do. It might not be the most fruitful idea. While you can read, you worry that the books he has might be the dry, verbose sort you have trouble with. Oh! This is a different servant. It's a maid, that's why. For a moment, you think he's going to leave the room, but instead he starts conversing with a maid who had been hiding in the shadows so discreetly you hadn't noticed her at all. I wonder, who is she? She leaves quietly, then a few minutes later reappears with a stack of books in her arms. Vasily thanks her as he transfers the books from her arms to his, inspecting each spine as he goes. Very good, very good. He places the stack next to you, taking care to not accidentally be too forceful. These should be suitably diverting, I think. Please tell me or one of the maids if you need more light to read by. I will. Thank you. Before the days of the plague, when sickness did not ooze out of every door and hope outweighed fear, you often read to the village children. The kids, many of whom could not yet read, would gather and listen hungrily. Sometimes, if your energy allowed, you tried to teach them a written word or two. While their parents hated how little you could do for the village, they seemed to appreciate the entertainment you could provide for their children. Not that it ever lessened their biting dislike for you. You pick the top book off the stack and start reading. To your surprise, it isn't some kind of dry history or records like you thought a noble might have in his home, but rather a novel. It's rather a scandalous one, actually. Even though you're reading silently and nobody can see over your shoulder, you can't help but feel like you're reading something you shouldn't. But something about seeing the characters in your mind's eye make terrible decisions over and over again makes you feel better about your own choices. You haven't killed your husband to then marry his brother, then killed the brother to marry his recently widowed father. 1 second, I need a sip. I'm sure this is a reference to something, and I don't know what it is. If anybody knows the reference, please tell me, but I cannot think what it's about. You appear intrigued by that story, Calamity. Quite the dramatic tale, no? Vasily leans closer to see what page you've paused at. A warm sensation prickles across your cheeks. Offer to read, because, again, we're trying to indulge him. You're familiar with it. It is my book, after all. It must be good if it still intrigues you after having already read it. Would you like to read with me?
What do you mean? Are you saying you're a one and done kind of girl, Calamity? I am ashamed of you. We reread books in this house.
A contented smile spreads across Vasily's face. I thought you'd never ask.
Woo!
Together, Vasily and you embark on the treacherous heroine story. Though the book's contents tries to draw you into its world, you remain firmly anchored in reality due to Vasily's proximity. Our leading lady is frightfully cunning. She's as compelling as she is respectable. Again, we're trying to agree with him this whole time.
Woo, he's looking at us.
Agreed. Anyone who chases their goal with this level of conviction is worth admiring. Her methods of getting rid of these bodies could use some work, though. She'd be better off with water disposals rather than hiding them in her family mausoleum. Vasily lets out an airy chuckle. What? You amuse me. Good ideas on your part, dear, but devastating in consequence. You see, the only water around our heroine's castle is their well. The corpse's impurity would surely taint their drinking water, thus killing everyone in the castle. I appreciate you playing a killer though, my dear. It was quite charming. You feel uneasy at being compared to a killer, even if fictional, but you hold fast to your bravery and don't react.
Oh, I do really like the subtle eye movements they keep doing with Vasily.
Even though Vasily sits so close beside you, you can't feel any heat emanating from him. Rather, he seems otherworldly both in beauty and in colouring. His skin is almost alabaster, reminiscent of the bloodless bodies of the plague victims.
I don't think they have folk tales of vampirism and vampires, otherwise she might have started getting clues. You know, ooh, it's weird he's got an illness that keeps him out from the day. And oh, it's weird that he's about my age but had a wife who's been dead seemingly for a long time. And oh, he's rather cold, isn't he? Like physically cold, not personality-wise. You'd start putting the pieces together, my dear.
A symptom of its illness, perhaps? He tilts his head and his long russet locks dramatically curtain his face. It struck you that you had never seen him in daylight. What would he look like under the sun? A pile of ash and death. You could only imagine. His hair would surely dazzle like a gentle sunrise, while his face might finally look fair and radiant rather than unnaturally beautiful.
Sorry.
It is your line. He turns, giving you a soft, slightly amused smile. Embarrassment floods through you. You've been caught staring at him. Oh, yes. Before you can find where you left off fast enough, Vasily sighs with satisfaction.
Ooh, he likes the fact we were looking at him.
I've missed such domesticity.
I'm having a trip on this word.
I've missed so much domesticity.
I can say this word normally. Why is it tricking me today?
This intimacy.
I think it's because I'm trying to say it in the voice.
I would love to be closer to you, to spend more days in this manner. He says so unabashedly. Most would stutter through a confession like that to a stranger, but not Vasily. Though your time together has been scant, he treats you with fervent affection. Whether that makes him brazen or courageous, you've yet to decide. Regardless, you've never experienced positive attention like this before.
And that there is why she's not left. Is because she's getting positive affection. Once in the thick of the plot, acting out the book with Vasily becomes so entertaining that you lose track of time. Slowly your strength starts fading as your sickness catches up with you again. Vasily takes over your lines and you gradually fall asleep to the sound of his soothing voice. Aww. You have another dream. No, that is not quite accurate. Rather, you have the same dream as last night. Oh, she's blowy at the edges. The woman in black garments is there again, standing motionless in the darkness. However, this time she is clearer. You can see the details of the outfit she wears. Atop her head sits a regal headdress, and her dress is in the style of an old seraphim. Such clothing has been out of fashion longer than the village elders have been alive. You feel as if you stand before an icon of a time long forgotten. On top of that, you can see a birthmark on her neck. Not a strand of hair peeks through the veil she wears. Like last time, she turns her head. But this time, the dream does not end. She looks at you. Her eyes move up and down slowly as if inspecting you. The woman smiles at you, but it's not friendly or gentle. It's the smile of someone watching a plan finally come to fruition. Immediately after, you wake up in a cold sweat. Like yesterday and earlier, Vasily is waiting for you in the bedroom. Today, at least, he's not perched at your bedside like an eager cat. Instead, he sits across the room, reading a book by candlelight. You wonder how long it'll take him to realize you are awake, and the answer turns out to not be long at all. He notices you stirring almost immediately. Calamity. He seems almost radiant as he puts down his book and approaches. You slept well, I hope. Lie. I did, yes. This bed is much more comfortable than the one at home. Wonderful. It would be utterly shameful if you didn't feel safe here. Tell me at once if you need anything. For as long as you are in this castle, you are mine. I will not allow you to be depraved of anything. This I swear. I am hungry, to be honest. Your memories are a bit fuzzy. You remember being given food by the servants, but haven't had a proper meal in quite some time. I thought you would be. The cooks are already preparing a meal. We can wait in the sitting room until they're finished. Ooh! Oh, this might be the second favorite design. I still think the main hall is my favorite. Look at the armor with the helmet and the crown. Ooh. Oh, we've got a bit of choir. Vasily guides you to the sitting room. Like the rest of the castle you've visited, this room is maintained but very old. The seats are worn, and there are clear signs of deterioration on the painting lining the wall. How long do you think it will take the food to be ready, Vasily? Not long at all, I assure you. But more importantly, you don't have to address me so stiffly. We're close, are we not? You can call me Vasya? 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 The nickname sits strangely on your tongue. Agree, again, with the whole point is we're trying to say what he wants to hear. But you see no harm in indulging him. And besides, you will surely get used to it with practice. It nicely rolls off the tongue, Vasya. Vasya gives you a shy, boyish smile. The warm gesture clashes with your otherwise gloomy surroundings. Thank you. I miss hearing it. The servants always address me formally and, well, there is no longer anybody else. But it's no matter. Whatever thoughts Vasya had about the situation, he didn't feel it was necessary to share them with you. For once, however, he has not felt the need to change the subject himself. You could sit in silence, but perhaps it would be for the best to take the initiative. Okay. I want to ask so many questions, but I think playing a lot and just doing nothing, enjoying the silences. Or perhaps not. You are still hungry, and you would prefer not to spend your remaining energy on small talk. Ooh! Sorry, every time I see a new background, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Vasya takes you to a dining room, and for the next few moments afterward are a blur. You knew you were hungry, but you didn't think you were that hungry. I'm also really enjoying the music. I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. Logically, you think that you ought to savour the kind of fine meal that you would be served here. But you end up speeding through the food, barely even paying attention to how anything else tastes. Vasily laughs, but not in a mean-spirited way. His laughter flutters through the air as you pause your vicarious devouring. I think this says a lot about my lack of recent practice in receiving guests. We can prepare seconds for you if you'd like. No, that's not necessary. Now that you're having a conversation instead of just eating, you realise that Vasya hasn't eaten at all. Are you not eating breakfast too? Oh no, I've never been much of a breakfast person. No need to worry, I'll get my own sustenance eventually. Oh, that's not ominous. What's your sustenance? He looks up and down at you expectantly, and you shiver. You are no longer ravenously hungry. At least, although you wonder a bit about Vasya. He's let slip enough that you know there is something quite human about him, but you cannot say what exactly it is. Hang on, I need another sip. This is where we learn. Are we about to get an ending? I don't think we are, because I've not been pushing the right kind of buttons to get an early end. Perhaps you yourself are no longer in your right mind, because while you ought to want to leave, is the furthest thing from your thoughts right now. Playing into him. You don't just want to stay here forever. You want to learn everything there is about Vasya. The good, the bad, even if that means he sees you as Elizaveta forever. Perhaps that wouldn't be such a bad thing, so long as it was with him. Ooh, we get to see her at long last. I like the idea. Suddenly you fall unconscious. The dream returns, and so does the woman from it. She's not looking away from you this time, she's facing you directly. Ooh, I think she's about to possess us. She does not speak, but instead holds her fingers out, fingers splayed. Strings of red, spider-like silk are attached to each of her fingertips, leading out and connecting to you. You wake up, and you know immediately that something is wrong. Dread coats every fibre of your being. Everything looks the same as it did before you lost consciousness, but you feel off. I'm sure there will be no problem at all, Vasya. That's your voice. Your mouth and tongue are moving, but you didn't will yourself to speak. You tried to move an arm, a leg, anything. But your body won't budge. Not for you, anyway. We've been overtaken. Yes. Vasya seems to notice the difference immediately. He's no longer effortlessly in control. He looks both happy and scared at the same time. Liza, you. Without your input, your arm is raised and you place a finger on Vasya's lips. Your sense of touch is not lost, as you can feel his soft lips gently give way underneath your touch. Shh. I'm Calamity now, remember? Of course. You could always tell that Vasya was powerful in some sort of strange way. That he's carrying in fear her must mean
You should be happy. You get to spend the rest of your life with him, just like you wanted. The thought isn't your thought, but it enters your mind as naturally as if it were. You did want to spend more time with Vasya, but you never imagined anything like this. The look on his face makes one thing clear. He will not be helping you take back control of your body. He's too scared of crossing her and yet enthralled by her presence all at once. Your new life begins as a bystander, puppeted yet conscious. Ooh, nice. Okay, so I think this is one of the endings. I wonder if we hadn't agreed to going, oh, I want to know more about him, whether we could have held her out longer. So, hang on. I should be able to do enabling text skipping, so let's try. We're staying as non-binary for now. Right. Oops, that was me, sorry. Just gonna quickly save here, because I know that we had some decisions early on. Yep. Play along. Suppose I don't. I just want to see if we can get back to that decision. Oh god. What was the previous thing? No? Yes? Oh, right, I remember. I need to be a bit more careful about my decisions. Speeding. Oh. Yep, okay. So we're just gonna keep speeding along, doing all the same choices as last time. I'm just curious about that last one we made. So come on. Thank him. So we're at the graveyard. We're seeing his dead wife. We say nothing. Again, I'm doing all the same decisions as we... Oh god. If you insist, I remember what the choice was. Yes. Anyway, so this is the dream. We don't see her. Oh, there it is. Wait for him to address us. Then he addresses us. We get given a book. Offer to read together. Agree. Yeah. So we should be almost there. So this is the second dream. So this should be breakfast. Lie. We're hungry. We agree to call him the name. We don't say anything. Okay, so we're almost there. Okay. Come on. Stay exactly like this. Everything right now, it's not perfect, far from it. But you feel so much more at home than you ever did in the village. Vasya must have noticed you come to this realization because he brings his chair even closer to yours. The maid seemed to have already cleared out anyway. He leans in towards you, his touch feeling like ice against your burning skin. His cool breath skims your neck. How cold he is, not being able to go into sunlight. How he looks so young but speaks as if he's lived a long life. How he refused to eat. You're cursed, aren't you? This whole place is. After a moment, Vasily lets out a dry husk of a laugh. Well, aren't you clever? I was getting tired of sidestepping your inquiries. I've not asked any questions on this run, sir. I was doing everything you wanted. It wasn't my finest accomplishment, but I've managed to eke out a life such as it is. But you hardly mind, don't you? Not at all. Hesitantly, you rest your hand atop his own. Vasya twitches as you make contact. You won't lie that this epiphany is frightening, but you hope the gentle touch reassures him you aren't intimidated. This curse permeates every inch of these grounds. I wonder. Maybe it has to do with the village's plague? I have been under this curse for some time. The plague is new, is it not? Yes, but even so, it's the only lead we have. When this is all over, we can walk in the garden again. But this time, in the sunlight. He considers your words, then his features grow slightly soft. The spark seems to alight in his eyes, once long burnt out. Walking in the sunlight. But this newborn flame is abruptly put out when a rat scurries beside the two of you. Though it quickly disappears into a dark corner, its fleeting presence is enough to have shattered the moment. And what you speak of, it only exists in fairy tales. His expression hardens like stone, and his eyes are engulfed in a new flame. Don't speak lightly of returning to the sun. Oh! Vasily violently rises, the items on the table clattering as if in fear. Something in your face must have moved Vasily, for his face relaxed, and he walked closer to you instead. Dear Calamity, rather than your fairy tale, let us do things my way. I can bite you here and take my fill. Hang on, no save! I promise to take care of you forever, but you can never leave me. He doesn't say what he'll do if you try. It doesn't matter. This is a warning, not a proposal. I won't, I'm not ready. I guess we give in? My love, my calamity. Thank you. Oh, hello. A sharp pain pierces through the skin of your neck. You've never been more glad for the hurt. Finally, you've found a place where you belong, a home with someone who loves you. You will never leave, and you're glad for it. To be continued? Oh? Okay. Okay, I wonder what happens if we refuse him. I think we've got time just to really quickly
Calamity. I do wonder what happens if we give her name, the wife's name, on a later run. Maybe if we pick ourselves as female and then use her name. Play along. So I've got to get back there again. Sorry. Suppose not. I want to see what that last outcome is where we refuse. No. And then I think we'll call it quits for here, and then next time we'll play, we'll try and do some of the other routes, because I would like to see some of the dialogue options where we do put up more of a fight against him. This time we were quite quiet and very going along with the flow, so, and doing what he wanted. Sun is rising. Politely. So again, I just want to do all the same options so that we can get exactly the same conditions. I also wonder what happens if we don't lie about the dream, but we'll see. Thank him. There we go. Off we pop. Bless me. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, we're back at the graveyard. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. Say nothing. Insist you may carry me. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. I want to know what's going on with all these rats. And obviously she takes us over. So I wonder. Anyway, come on. Sorry, I'm just not finding a way to skip this, so. Wait for him to address us, so it's the exact same situation. Let's read together. Agree. Doo-doo-doo. Come on. Come on, let us put us to bed. Doo-doo-doo. Dreamy, dreamy, dream. Lie. Off to breakfast. Where he wants us for breakfast. You may keep it. I'll give you a nickname. Say nothing. I do want to know so much about those paintings. But I can't because I'm trying to get the other option before I forget. Exactly, stay exactly like this. Right, okay. Almost there. Oh. He's not best pleased with us. I'm not ready. No matter how enchanting he was and how you longed for a home, you weren't ready to share his fate. You wonder how your life in this castle might unravel, and if Vasher would ever fully open up to you. Perhaps in the future, or perhaps only if you truly submitted to him and learned more about Elisaveta. The dark shadows tying both of your fates. To be continued. Okay, so not a great deal of change there. So all that effort kind of wasn't worth it, but I'm glad I got to see it. Okay, so it seems like giving in to him will ultimately lead us to getting bitten
and if we're not careful, Elizabeth is in our dreams trying to get to us. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this. We will come back to this game and explore some of the other options, but I personally need a break. My throat's starting to get tired after an hour of playing. So I thank you very much for joining me on this, and until next time, dearest visitor, farewell.